Such a wonderful turnout, what a wonderful venue. And you just saw this documentary that we made, which showed the process of the research that we went through for the Kashmir Files. But before I say any further, I would like to know how many of you have watched the film? Oh, so a lot of you have seen the film. Thank you so much. Although Vivek and we worked on this film, we sincerely believe that we haven't done as much as all of you have contributed to the film, because it truly became a people's film once it was released. And thanks to people like you who went to the theaters, who supported the film and made it such a big success. It wasn't easy for us to make this film. It was difficult for various reasons. The primary reason was that we didn't know about this. And we were at the Imperial College yesterday. There was a function organized in one of the colleges there. And there were a lot of students listening to us. And I told them that, it was so horrible that when I was their age, this was happening in Kashmir. When our own brothers and sisters were getting butchered, they were getting thrown out of their homes. I had already started my career. I was, had already gotten my star status while I was younger and leading a good life. And had absolutely no idea that in one part of my country, this terrible incident is taking place. And not just that. 30 years later, I come to know about it. And when actually Vivek told me that we should be making a film on this subject, I had no idea what the subject was. And when I started the research, I was completely horrified with the accounts that, I started hearing. And it came to a point where I said, this cannot be true, because if this were true, I should have heard something. I would have known something. And so we started with this entire research tour, which we undertook in the year 2019 between US and UK. And we met the first generation victim of the genocide. Until then, I had no idea what we were about to hear. The very first interview was of a lady. She invited us to her place. We went and had the best of Kashmiri food, great hosts, the lady and her husband, their children. We spoke for a long time, and then when we actually sat down for the interview, I said, just for the record, state your tragedy first, and then we'll start from the beginning. So she, with a straight face, told me that my father was cut into 50 pieces. The pieces were put into a sack, and the sack was thrown in the river Jhelum. And 3 days later, that sack was found. And believe you me, I just went cold. And I was supposed to sit there, interview that lady, ask her questions, and I couldn't ask her a single question. For 5 minutes, I was completely numb until, the cameraman started, actually telling me from behind that, Pallavi, you are on camera, come on, start. And one after the other, the stories went from horrible to terrible to the worst of our nightmares. And very typically, we were doing like 4 to 5 interviews a day. We would go to their homes, we would make them comfortable, and then they would start speaking to us. And a point came where Vivek and we just couldn't sleep in the night. Because there is only so much pain that a human brain can process. And it was, those 2 months were terrible for us. And while I was talking to these people, there was such a terrible sense of guilt that for 30 years, this truth was hidden from us. We were leading a good life. We were being happy. We are going back to our homes. And home is it's not just a building. Home is not just some place where you go and sleep in the night. Home is a feeling. Home is that place where you go and sit every morning. You have your own place where you have your, first tea or first coffee in the morning. It's the smell of your home, the food that is cooked in the kitchen. It is what you see through that window, the scenery outside. It's the doorbell that keeps ringing through the day. It's the delivery boys or the postman or, the working staff, whoever keeps coming home. So home is a place where you feel most secure. That's your place. Nobody can, say anything to you because that's your home. It belongs to you. And this was taken away from these people. And they actually had to leave overnight. And there were so many infants whose fathers got killed. And when the mothers left with the babies, they don't even know that little babies, after growing up, they don't even know what their father looked like, because the last thing that you can think about is, taking family albums with you. So when we heard all this, we realized that this truth needs to come in front of the people. Our governments, our media, our system, our intellectuals, our academicians, historians, everybody. This was a systematic effort to put a lid on this incident. And 30 years later, I'm also thankful to the entire Kashmiri Pandit community, because it is very difficult to trust strangers and pour their hearts out. But they did that. They believed in us. They shared their stories with us. And that's why we could bring the truth out in front of a larger audience. And there is a line in our film which Anupam Kher says when he's leaving Kashmir. He says, he speaks to his journalist friend and he says, ये बात तुम भारत में सबको बताना, और जब ये बात लोगों को पता चलेगी, देखना कैसा पूरा भारत हमारे साथ खड़ा होगा. And that's exactly what happened when the film came out. Not just Indians in India and abroad, but people from all ethnicities, all color, religion, caste, everyone actually felt for these victims. When we undertook a pre-release tour in US last year, we showed the film before its official release on the 11th of March. It released officially in India and worldwide. But before that, in the month of December, we went to US and we showed this film in 16 different cities. And this is not something that any filmmaker does, because they're always worried about the bad publicity going out, or they're always worried about their baby. But both of us decided that this is a people's film, this needs to be shown to people. So in the 16 cities where we showed the film, there were African Americans, there were Hispanics, there were Jews, there were Haitians, there were Afghani Muslims, there were Yazidis. All of them connected with the film, and all of them have reviewed the film on the internet. So this has not been just a film for us. This has been, it has taken 4 years of our life. And this became more of a mission for us. And before I end, I would just like to say one thing, that for us, it doesn't end with the film Kashmir Files. But we are also planning to come out with a docu-series, which is called Kashmir Unreported, which will have, of course, everything that, these people, whoever we interviewed, whatever they shared with us. So there will be, the geopolitical importance of Kashmir, the politics of that time, the history of Kashmir, the 7 exoduses that have happened. So we are trying to cover it all. And hopefully, we are hoping that on 19th January next year, this docu-series should be out. And with your support, I'm sure we'll be successful in that also. Once again, thank you very much for coming here. And it's lovely, lovely standing here in front of you. Thank you.